You got Rich Hill on the mound, obviously dominant. Finished off the regular season strong, fresh. This is going to be his first outing. And you look at what happened against the Braves, and Mike Foltynewicz comes out again. Gave up, 4 earned in 2 innings, couldn't even get out the 3rd inning. So it's going to be a problem for them again, as we saw last night.
This series is going 5 games just because I wanted to go 5 games. I like the game-deciding game.
Great.
All right, let's move on to some big stories. Starting in the UFC, where there were some major fireworks this weekend with Khabib Nurmagomedov defeating Conor McGregor at UFC 229, then jumping into the crowd and attacking McGregor's coach, which sparked a melee both inside and outside the octagon. Afterward, Khabib apologized, but still has some choice words about Conor.
I want to say sorry to Athletic Commission, Nevada, sorry to Vegas. I know this is not my best side. You know, this is not my best side. You know, I'm human being, and I don't understand how people can talk about I jump on the cage. You know, what about he talk about my religion? He talk about my country. He talk about my father. He come to Brooklyn and he broke bus. He almost killed a couple people. What about this? What about this? Why people talk about I jump over the cage? Why people still talk about this? Like, I don't understand.
All right, Marcellus, who do you blame for the post-fight melee?
Starts at the top with Dana White. He enabled this culture through his promotion. I was really caught off guard sitting there at the local sports bar. Shout out to Jalapenos Pete's. And I'm sitting there with my fam and my friends, and all I kept seeing in slow motion was Conor McGregor attacking the bus and throwing the dolly in the bus. And I'm like, didn't all the commissioners get the memo like the NFL did that you can't show the violent hits, the unethical, the illegal things, and then still use it in promotion? So once you create that climate, Khabib is thinking after a win over that same guy who got a slap on the wrist by the UFC, if he got away with that, why can't I get away with hopping over this cage in the octagon and going after his people? So I start with Dana White. You enabled this.
Legitimate point. But at the end of the day, I blame Conor McGregor. I blame him more than Khabib. I blame him more than Dana White. Conor McGregor, to me, has reached his expiration point. He has made a bunch of money off of a bit of a fraud and a sham to me. In terms of made a bunch of money fighting Mayweather in a fight that we knew was a sham. And so he is a fraudulent person here in terms of he set the tone for all of this. When you start talking about a man's religion, when you start talking about a man's father, again, I don't want to excuse what Khabib did, but I get it. You start talking about a man's religion, you start talking about his parents, you bring all that into it, and Conor McGregor has gotten away with this for far too long. I didn't like the promotion of Conor versus Floyd when there was all that cursing and just stupidity, and they kept having all these press conferences where nobody could talk to each other like they were human beings. And I get the fight game is ugly, but I just think the whole Conor McGregor took a dump on himself over the last couple of years, and this was inevitable that somebody was going to have this kind of reaction. And then in the initial reaction to the full post-fight melee, oh, my God, Conor got attacked from behind. He was sucker punched.
Right.
And then when you really go look at the film, he threw the first punch. At somebody in Khabib's camp, and then Khabib's camp overreacted and came into the ring and took a punch at Conor. This all falls on Conor McGregor. And some people before the show were upset or disagree with this take. I think there's a lot of similarity between Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey. Both of them frauds and overhyped.
I can't go there, but
I can go.
Not fraud. That left hand is not a fraud. People have went to sleep. Champions have went to sleep with that left hand. That's not fraud.
Get it?
That's not fraudulent.
But to me, the UFC needs to move away from this. Conor McGregor has done all he can do for the UFC, and we're sitting around. Should Khabib be stripped of his title? Should he be suspended? No, it's Conor McGregor.
Well, let's say this. Khabib lost his winning moment. He had a moment where not only do you get the belt, you get the purse, you're the champ, but you also could win the PR battle. You could win all this fanfare. But instead, you took the lower road that was available to you in that moment, and it was a justified lower road. It's funny when we say we take the high road. It's not always justified to take the high road. And it's sometimes justified to take the low road, but you're still not supposed to go there. As we always learned as we went through adolescence to adulthood, it starts in this continuum: thoughts, words, and then actions. What trumps words? Action. So if someone talks about my religion, my mama, my dad, and I've heard it all playing football, you have too. Hey, bruh, there's one thing I got that's a hammer on top of all that. And it's these actions. I am giving you the business. You couldn't breathe a minute ago. Why do I need to go stop out your camp? If I could beat you, I know I could beat your camp. What you doing out there?
It's not what I would have done. It's not what I would have preferred to see. But again, when this kid and his religion is under attack globally.
True.
And so
yeah.
I get why he lost his mind for a moment. And I'm just saying, Conor McGregor is playing in a lane where there shouldn't be. There's no gangs over here in this lane. Let's leave this man's religion out of it. Let's leave this man's father out of it. Conor McGregor, to me, is the bad guy. And that's what makes me, when I say he's past his expiration date, I'm not really interested in a rematch, Marcellus. I know there's a lot of hype for a rematch. Are you interested in seeing a rematch here?
No, I'm not interested as well. I mean, it's funny you say the Conor fatigue, and you know it is fatigue when he has to go to those extents just to get his marketing points across. Like before he used to just do it, he's talking about you, he's talking about your career, he's talking about why you even talking to me. I'm sitting here in this silk robe. And then it turned into like, oh, that showed me that Khabib got to him. Like he knew he was in for the fight of his life because he went to that degree. That said, this fight, if there was a rematch, I'm sitting there like, I don't want to see this. One, it's a setup to only see Conor win. Like, we're not sitting there for the rematch.
He ain't winning.
That's my point. So why am I going to give you $89.99? And I'm like, I'm only sitting here. What your motivation is, Conor wins. Plus, you can't sell me solely on money alone when it comes to competition. That can't be the only fuel for a competition. Oh, it's going to break records, the gate, the pay-per-views. Okay, what about the competition? What about who's in there? What's the story? And to me, like you said, I think this one's exhausted. They got to move on.
Well, the other thing, and I hate to go this far, but I'm going to, I think it's just dangerous. I think we saw them unleash an element, both parties, that is potentially dangerous. If I'm in the crowd at that fight, I'm not here. Y'all supposed to fight inside that octagon. Leave that fight outside the octagon. I look at these two guys and where Conor has gone, and I don't have any trust that he won't go there again.
Right.
I've already seen Khabib's reaction when you go that far, and then that spreads like a virus. Conor's camp, Khabib's camp, they're all caught up in it. And so I literally, and this is an analogy that'll play right to you, Marcellus, I worry about this being a Biggie Tupac situation. And where somebody legitimately could get hurt in a real way, not a fist fight. When people's camps are involved and there's that kind of passion and everybody, Conor plays the thug role real strong.
Yeah.
And so that invites somebody to take it to an extreme that's just too dangerous. I really don't want to see a rematch.
And Jason Whitlock just turned into Jay Prince, huh? You over here saying, you know what? I'm going to stop this beat before it gets too real. I understand that. I mean, that was the whole Drake-Kanye situation. You know what? I want to go back to what you said about Ronda Rousey because the parallels go even farther. Let's talk about how Ronda Rousey, you said, was a fraud. She won. She was champion. It was a meteor.
12 fights, man. 12 fights.
I give you that. But you know what's interesting? Let's talk about the marketing promotion and why I think Dana White is trying to sell us a little too hard on these type of fighters. Ronda Rousey, once she got KO'd, all of a sudden, behind the scenes, went into a no promotions deal. Y'all remember that? When all of a sudden, Ronda didn't have to set up the fights anymore. And even in this deal, it was funny that Conor McGregor told him, I want little to no promotion. And all this came with a little to no promotion deal. But what happens? You go out there and you get KO'd. You go out there and get tapped out. All of a sudden, we start to say, so what's the draw here? Because the arrow's pointing down on you in the octagon. And in terms of salesmanship, you're not doing a great job at it. You've lost kind of the thing that was gravity and the thing that draws us in.
Once you get paid $100 million like Conor did for the Floyd fight, once you have other avenues such as Hollywood like Ronda Rousey had, you lose your passion for the game. And that's why Conor is expired. We saw a young lion in Khabib that really is about that life. Conor is about being a brand, a character, a bunch of other things that don't have anything to do with getting into that octagon and being about that business. I'm over it. Coming up After being on his best behavior all summer, it looks like Odell Beckham is back to being Odell. Tony Gonzalez and Greg Jennings joined the show. Nerf!